I'm back and better than ever. But according to Eric Bischoff, he will not be better than ever and he will not be back in a general manager role. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Wrestling. Eric Bischoff has commented on the possibility of working for AEW as a GM in that general manager role. And according to Bischoff, as McMahon would say, there is no chance in hell of that happening.
No chance! That is what you've got, Bischoff. Is he too old? Does he just simply not want to be in AEW? We're going to get into it. Would I want it? Yes. But Tony Khan, we've seen what he is. He's exposed himself. He wants all the praise for himself. He doesn't want somebody being the GM and taking the credit for everything. As best it's going to get is Christopher Daniels floating about backstage pretending to make matches. That's it. Look at Tony Khan, man, at the pay-per-view. I need a son. And then doing the hip thrusting with Daniel Garcia. He always makes himself the centre of attention. He's a fud.
Yeah, this guy couldn't handle somebody coming in as a GM. That's why I don't think Shane McMahon's coming, to be honest. See if Shane McMahon came in, even if it was kayfabe power that Shane McMahon had, I reckon this guy would be raging.
I brought him in. It's still my company.
It's me. It's only pretend. I still make the real decisions. Anyway, during his podcast, former WCW president Eric Bischoff was asked about the possibility of working for All Elite Wrestling in a general manager role, and Bischoff basically shot it down due to his age. This is what Easy E, had to say. He said, quote, "No, I hope AEW pulls a nose up, figures out a way, and has vision, but we all know it's pretty public. The kind of drama going on backstage. If I was in my 20s and 30s, hell yeah, why not? Especially with the kind of bags that are being thrown around backstage. Hell yeah, I'd do it. Even in my 40s, I would have done it. But at this stage of my life, I wouldn't go near it. First of all, the first time I stepped foot in AEW, everything that's wrong with that place would be wrong because of me. I ain't going near it. I wouldn't want to show up on camera anymore. If everything was fine and Tony and I weren't going back and forth and I didn't call his last All-In show hot garbage this morning, even if none of that was happening and we were buddies, I wouldn't even really want to be on the show. At this stage of my life, why? It's not as much fun for me anymore as it would have been in my 40s. If it was a better environment, if the show was great, if it had some momentum and it was fun, sure, I would. If it was fun. But it's not fun. End of quote.
So, it ain't fun anymore, buddy.
Bischoff not finding it fun. Said he would do it though in his 20s, 30s and 40s, but at this stage of his life, he ain't interested in that, especially because of the drama and the fact that, like he said, it's not very fun. And you know what, man, I can agree with this. You've seen Vince Russo basically say the same thing. These guys in their 60s, man, they don't want to go back on the road. I think they're happy with the life they've got. Could they make more money by going to WWE and AEW? Of course they could. Of course they're going to make more money in AEW and WWE than they would doing their podcast sitting from home. But I just think these guys have got accustomed to that life where they can sit in the comfort of their own home and just simply talk about wrestling whenever they want in their own time and make money. They're obviously, both... I'm including Vince Russo in this as well. They've obviously both, invested their money wisely, and I don't think they're not guys that are desperate for a paycheck. And at that point, see if you're living comfortably and you own your home and you're making money through other incomes, do you unless it's greed, do you really need to go and secure the bag that Bischoff is talking about here in AEW? I just don't think it's worth it. I mean, at Bischoff, I'm not saying Bischoff and Vince Russo are ancient, but I mean, you never know how long you've got left. And I just think they would rather spend it at home with their wives, with their families, than go on the road and have to deal with wrestling and shite that they've already dealt with over, decades.
No, of course, but you look at Bishop, guy's almost 70, right? 68, 69. You look at McMahon, right? McMahon is what, 78, 79? His appearances over the last decade dried up. you know, I think that. See, when you hit your 70s, yeah, McMahon's still on the road. Well, he was still on the road. He was still going to like, every show, wasn't he?
Now he's on the ropes.
I know he's on the ropes. Could be in a jail cell. But it's like, no one wants to be there every week in your like late 60s, 70s.
McMahon's a freak of nature, though.
Yes.
McMahon's a workaholic, plus he was the owner of the company, so it's different for him. Even look at like Jim Ross. He only does the odd show now. He doesn't want to be on the road week in, week out with AEW Dynamite.
More than one reason, because it fucking sucks. But yeah, I mean, you think of it, I mean, it's weird, like, Bischoff in his 40s, it's like, that takes you back to, like, the mid-2000s. It's weird, that. Like, late 40s. It's like, just shows you, like, fucking time passes by, man. It ain't like it was before.
Even if Taker could still go, Taker's probably at the point now where he's thinking, you know what, I've had my career. I'm content doing my podcast now. I get to spend more time at home with my family. I don't want to be travelling 300 days a year.
Aye.
Not that the schedule's that hectic anymore, because this current generation of wrestlers are pussies and they can't do what the older generation done. But nah, I totally see where Eric Bischoff's coming from here. I mean, it would take insane amount of money.
Yeah.
And at that point, like, see if Bischoff is accustomed to his life and he doesn't want this, like, extravagant lifestyle. If he's happy living on his ranch in Texas or wherever he's from or whatnot, like, what kind of is money to someone at Bischoff's age if he's content and settled down?
Yeah.
See, like $5 million a year means more to Bischoff in his 20s, 30s than it does in his 60s.
Well, absolutely. Because you know how many years you've got left. In your 20s, you've got it all ahead of you. I agree with Bischoff, man. It's not worth it. Wrestling's fucking dead.
I see if Bischoff's going to get back into the game. I think it's going to be a consulting role where he can do it from his home.
Aye, something like that.
I mean, I remember Vince Russo talked about a deal he had with TNA when they wanted to bring him back, and he was working with Dixie, but he was doing it for his house, and he was basically just emailing her his thoughts on the show.
Well, I mean, maybe you could get something like that, but I don't think Tony Khan doesn't strike me as a guy, as a consultant. What, Bischoff consulting the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and Tony Khan? That's not happening.
No, I mean, selfishly, I would like it, but I can see why it's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's not going to happen, and, you know, it's 2024, troops. All these guys are getting old. The great minds of yesteryear in the wrestling business are fucking ancient. It is what it is.
It is what it is, guys. But there you go, Bischoff then ruling out the possibility of working for AEW. And, I mean, I don't think it's just AEW. I think this applies to WWE as well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it does, and I feel like with Bischoff, I mean, remember him and Heyman, they had that, like, they were back 5 years ago in the executive producer role, shit.
That lasted long.
That was an absolute flop.
And you know what? I think if Bischoff actually was going to come back to wrestling, I think it would be more likely to be AEW, because he would just be more likely to get a massive offer there than he would in WWE.
No, absolutely.
And I think just because AEW, there's probably more chance of getting an offer that he can't refuse there. So I think that's why Bischoff would be more likely to return to AEW than WWE. But
it's like, if Bischoff's returning, right, to be a GM and be on the show every week, right? If Okada, and Ospreay are getting $5 million a year, fucking Bischoff should be getting $50 million a year.
No, definitely. I mean, who knows? Maybe even TNA. If they're taping 4 shows once a month, I think that's doable.
Aye.
See if they're saying, right, we're going to tape a month of shows over 2 days, once a month. Maybe Bischoff would be like, well, you know what, I could get behind that. Maybe time of travel there, travel back. It's taking 4 days out of my month. But these guys at this age, man, they ain't going back on the road. I don't see it.
On the road again. Anyway, guys, we're going to hit the road. And you guys are going to hit that like button, aren't you? You're going to hit that subscribe button. And you're going to stick around.
We don't make as much money, by the way, as Eric Bischoff does. And we're not being offered a chance for Tony Khan to go on the road. So show some support. Comment. Hit the like button. Subscribe. Do all that good stuff. Supports the algorithm. If you want to donate $10 million, feel free to do that as well.
Or a $5, whatever you want.
$5 is fine.
Whatever you want.
10 cents is fine.
Well,
Anything.
anything.